Yeah, so we were just like trying to debug this. That went into an infinity loop, and that's working pretty nice. And what we were doing here, we were like, oh, so that's the mistake here. So yeah, let's try to understand this. A was true, and we were like, while A is equals to true, while like the value stored in A is true, just ask the user to enter a number, and if that number is a numeric number, like a number integer, then re-update the A to false. So the loop gets uh, so we could terminate the loop. So let's enter like double T and double Y double H, and this is not gonna end until I enter a number. Let's suppose if I enter 5, it's gonna end like at the moment. So like, does it make some kind of sense, or is it confusing, or do you have any thoughts on this?
Sorry, I I didn't get the question.
Yeah, I was just asking, like, is that confusing, or like, did you got the concept, or any question, or like anything about?
On the if input is numeric, uh,
Yeah, if user
false,
input is
else,
numeric.
pass.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Like,
Hmm.
is it making
I'm
sense?
sorry, I'm not sure I got it. Can you explain that again?
Yeah, for sure. So what I wanted to do is I wanted to create a program in which the user really needs to enter a number, and I can't proceed to the next code or the next further statements until a user enters a number. Let's suppose there was a calculator and I really wanted the user to enter a number. So we can use the for loop to again and again ask the user to enter a number until he really enters the number. So that's what we are doing here.
Okay,
Initially
okay,
we said that
okay.
set A to true. So while loop can run, here we said that if A is equal means like it's really true, then ask the user for a number. If user enters like some number, this if condition is gonna see if the user really enters the number or not. So basically, as you can see here, let's suppose the user enters like 55. So this 55, we are just using is numeric on this, and what is numeric does, it just if there is a string, it sees if the string could be turned into a digit or integer or float. If yes, then it returns
Yeah,
true. So same here. If as soon as the user enters like some digit or integer or float, it says that, oh yeah, that's true. It will go inside its body and will update A to false. And after that, let me use that thing notation. So yeah, like, well, not this one, not even this one. I don't know where that is. Spotlight, but anyways, like, let's
yeah.
draw this if I can. Okay, so as soon as this gets, oh, as soon as this statement gets true, it will update like this value A, which is like here, which is like initially true, it will get false. And after that, when this will like this whole loop will end, it will take this A and go up here and again evaluate like if A is really true or false, but this time A is really false, so this loop is gonna end at that time.
Yeah, 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 yeah.
Okay, cool. So that's the concept here, like using for while
Got it.
loop. Yeah, so here what they were doing, like initially we printed some values. Here they reversed the condition. If I is smaller than 6, then keep on printing that, and they were
Six.
incrementing. one in I, yeah. Oh, break statement. Do you know about break statement?
Break. Nah,
Okay, this is
not
just
really.
used to break the loops. Let's suppose while is, we just put here true. We are like, right now we don't know what condition to put in, but later on when we are doing the code, we are like, let's do a is equals to 10, and after that we are like, do an increment in a of, decrement, actually decrement in a of 1, and after that just really check if if a is if a is equals to 0, then we can break. So this is also a good way to break the loop here. What we were doing, we were explicitly making this condition false, but here we are like, as soon as this happens, just break the loop. Here you could see what's really happening. Print a. So if I run something like this, see, as soon as it reaches to at 0, so if
Zero,
statement will
yeah.
check if a is 0, it's just gonna break this loop. So
Okay.
this keyword is good to stop the loop.
Got it.
Continue is just like, it will continue as it's telling, but the thing to remember is like, anything after continue, it's not gonna get executed. So let's copy this and paste it here. So what really will happen at this point, let's do this vanishing point. So 0 is here, and it's saying like, if I is smaller than 6, keep on executing it, and it's like, incrementing that. And as soon as I gets equal to 3, what it will does, it will continue. It will not, so this particular statement will not get executed. This continue, what it will do, it will like leave all this, and just go above here, and again, you know loop everything. It's
Loop,
just
yeah.
like, it's like, leave this iteration and go to the next iteration or the next loop. As soon as this condition get executed, it's like, leave anything that's beneath this and go to the next iteration. And if I kind of run this, you will notice that it prints like, 1 2, but it doesn't print 3, because we have a if statement, and it's saying, as soon as I is equals to 3, just continue, just skip whatever is beneath, inside this loop, and go to the next loop. So that's what's happening here.
Okay, got it.
Cool. The else, uh is no longer, we can use while loop here. let's try
Else
let's
is
let's
no
try this,
longer
yeah.
than 6.
Mm-hmm. Let's try to run, I didn't really copy it. So that's, see how you can use it, but no one really kind of uses it. What's happening here, like, initially this condition was like true, so as soon as this gets false, it comes here and print this out. That's really, I don't think so we need to use that, and we don't really use this much, but yeah, this could be, as soon as this condition gets false, this whole execution runtime gets on this point, on else statement, and executes this. And here we have a test. Okay, so let's cover for loops too. Basically, for loop is kind of really safe loop if we compare to while loop, because
Yeah.
if mistakenly we get a mess up with the condition, it will run for forever, really forever. But thanks to these VS Code and something, they have a kind of limit or something. When they see if the code is executing like rapidly for like many time, it automatically terminates that thing. But if executing in CMD, like command line, it never gonna get stopped. But let's talk about for loops. Okay, the for loop is used for iterating over a sequence. And do you remember what are
Yeah, yeah,
sequence in Python? Like tuples and lists and dictionaries, sets, strings, they all are
yeah.
sequence. They have a sequence like number of things present inside them. Anyways, leave that. With the for loop, we can execute a set of statement once for each item in list, tuple, dictionary, set, etc. So what they really mean is we can execute a set of statement like using each of that. So here they are like we can do something with A, B, and like banana and cherry. They really mean is let's try with an example. They're like if you have a sequence and you wanna execute something on the sequence, you can really do that. Like let's suppose we had a list num, and that was like 2 1 2 3 4 5 6, and these were the number, and we needed to calculate the square of these numbers. So what we could do is we manually we like probably we would do something like this. Number, take this, something, this, it would return us 1, and then you know takes care of this number, it would be 1, and again go do 1, and then do like for this and update this thing. We still need
Mm.
to update, write a code to update this thing, because originally it's kind of really same. But thankfully we have a for loop which could do this stuff for us, which is like this part. We can use for I in num. This is basically our dictionary, and for right now I can just write pass. So basically what really I is a temporary variable in which the current sequence or the current item from the sequence will get stored. It has many things. So currently if the loop is starting from here, initially it will store 1 in this variable I, and after it executes whatever is here, it's again gonna go up here and bring up the next item in the sequence. So we kind of really store that in a variable, and usually we call it I, but you can call it anything. You can name it because it's a variable, so you can name it anything, but the convention is I, K, or something like this. But it's on you can use anything. So let's do that. What we can do is we can do print and I, and then take a square of that stuff. So here you will see we have square of 1 is 1, next is 4, square of 3 9, square of 4 16, 5 25, square of 6 36. We can do this, like it's quite easy instead of manually doing this. So it's iterates over a sequence or something like that. Same goes with the dictionary. If we have a dictionary which is like key, maybe it could be 1 and it could be 2, something like this. So here we can use the for loop, and let's just print I. Let's see what happens. What's gonna come here. So it's just basically returning us the keys. But as you know, like we have learned in the dictionary part, that if we use dot and if we use values, we could really get the values. So here now this for loop will iterate over value of this dictionary. So I guess I need to put brackets. Yep. Yeah, right here. So for loop is getting the values one by one and that stuff. So basically for loop is used for this kind of stuff. Yeah, iterate over strings. Yeah, we can also do this. So it will print B on next line A, next A, and then on next something like that, you know. And still, we can use the break statement and continue statement in this for loop. It goes same like that. If you want to end the for loop, we could use break. If you want to just skip something in some iteration of the loop, we can use continue in that condition. Like here, if the variable is banana, we don't want to really do anything on that, so we can just write continue and it will, you know, really skip the execution. Okay, so
Sure.
oh yeah, range function. As I have discussed, like we have discussed this range function in starting maybe in the first lecture. So it generates a range from 0 to 10, and we can use a for loop to see what it really looks like. We can just print it, so it's gonna be pretty uh, yeah, something like this. It's a range 0 from 1, so that's what this range function does, and we can use for loop to check what it really does. And I guess that's it for loop. Else, yeah, if this loop else finishes, then we can also use a else as we use that in while loop, but I don't think so we really need this. But yeah, we have the option to use this. Break the loop when x is 3. So yeah, same thing. This is like the single line if else thing, you know. I guess you remember that.
Yeah.
Yeah, we can write that down, but they just did something like that. Again here, oh, nested loops, loop in loop. So yeah, that could be interesting. Yep. Let's do that. We have a list. A is equals to as it could be train, and it could be test, and then B is like it's like a data set, you know. Training data set we have of cell, and we have of what it could be face, and it could be of flowers. So if we use a for loop for I in A, what it really will do, it will, you know, one by one bring up these things. But again, we again used another for loop, like a nested for loop. But this is important to keep in mind. Here, the variable, not, we can't use I. Like we can use I. If I do I in B, it will work, but that's not good. Here, for this loop, it will go into A, bring up train and store in I, but next what we are like doing, we are like, okay, go to B, bring cell and overwrite I. So we don't have access to train anymore. It's, you know, overwritten by cell. So here we will use a new keyword, let's suppose K. Or if you wanna make it more, you know, practical, we can write something really useful, give it a useful name. uh, we could use set or data set, and then we could say category. That's, you know, more kind of practical thing to say. And after that we can use a print statement which will just print data set, and after that category. So let's kind of print that, and let's see what it does. So as you can say, it first takes this. So let's you know, break it down. So it will just give me a second, let me scroll a bit down here. Yeah, now I can do that. So first it takes train, it gets stored in this data, and after that it goes inside this next loop, and for next loop it goes to B, takes this cell and store this in category. Cool. So now in this like dataset variable we just have this value train, but in this category value we have this thing. And the cool thing is this for loop will, you know, keep on executing because this is inside this thing. It will not let's, you know, break this down. Like we can see train 3 times. Why? Because this loop executed 3 times. Why? Because it had 3 values. First it's like train cell, it, you know, brought this and printed here, but this data set was coming from this like initial outer loop, and that was like still same. It didn't went on the next variable. Why? Because inside the body of our first loop we had some code that was still executing, and as soon as this kind of finishes, it then again goes to the outer loop, and then this variable get updated, and it the new value is kind of test. So you could see like these three are test, and again that comes into this second loop, and it says like, okay, go in B and give me the values one by one. So you could see test face and last test flower. Like, does it make kind of sense, or is it
Yeah, it
confusing?
does.
Yeah.
It
So the
does.
thing is,
No,
yeah.
I think that next time we meet, we can start in this same for loop again.
Okay. Cool.
Yeah,
Yeah, for sure.
because it will before then I would go through it on my own, watch the video, practice on this W3 school
Yeah.
thing, and we start there again on the for loop. It would help me grasp it better because it's something I see is used a lot
Yeah.
in
Exactly.
many Python exercises.
Yeah. Exactly.
For instance, I didn't know the meaning of the I until you said it today. So I'm also always wondering what is the I, what's the I, what's the I,
Hmm. Yeah. So, yep. Shall I stop the
Yeah.
recording?
Yeah, you can stop it. I have to go to a doctor's appointment.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
So I
Yeah. For
will
sure.
I saw the offer you sent on